Let me start this video off by saying that I really enjoy the Harry Potter series. I've seen all the movies, read all the books, I'm on Pottermore, I'm down with all that shit. But I just want to talk about the sexist moments in the series. Now, I already know what the comments are going to say under that. Oh my god, it's just a book. There are bigger fish to fry than this. Well, I'm not saying sexism in fictional stories is a pressing issue. I'm no Janice McCabe here. I'm just making this video simply because I have something I want to say about it. So just bear with me, you'll see where I'm going with this soon enough. Now, while reading through the Harry Potter books, you will see that on several occasions Hermione goes into the boys' dormitories. When I first read these books, I thought in the back of my mind, why is she allowed to do this? And why do I get the feeling that if Harry or Ron ever tried to go into her dormitory to visit her, they wouldn't be allowed to? Sure enough, in Book 5, it turns out that the one time Harry and Ron needed to go to the girls' dormitory to see Hermione, guess what happens? The stairs turn into a slide, and they are not allowed to go into her dormitory, even though she was allowed to go into theirs. And I couldn't say I was surprised. Hermione knew about this all along. She said, I read about this in Hogwarts, a history. But she doesn't see anything wrong with this. It's like, yeah, they trust girls more than boys. Why wouldn't they, right? So Hermione sees no problem with the sexism in the school she attends, but she gets really angry at the fact that house elves don't get paid for their work, even though these creatures like to do work for their master and find it insulting if you try to pay them. She even starts S.P.E.W, the Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare. She says, I can't believe no one's done anything about it before now. And why doesn't anyone do something about it? And why doesn't anyone do something about the sexist staircases? Then she talks about Hogwarts, a history, though of course that book's not entirely reliable. A revised history of Hogwarts would be more accurate, or a highly biased and selective history of Hogwarts which glosses over the nastier aspects of the school. No, that book didn't mention house elves, but it did mention that the school trusts girls more than boys. But that's fine with her. I guess she doesn't consider that to be one of the nastier aspects of the school. Why doesn't she start protesting the way Hogwarts discriminates against boys? Fight to either have both stairs turn to slides if the opposite sex climbs them, or have neither one of them do that at all. And by the way, if she's all for freeing house elves, then why was she mad that Barty Crouch freed his house elf Winky? Shouldn't she have been glad he did that? It's okay if she gives clothes to house elves who don't want them, but if he does it, it's not okay. I'm getting off track here. The only other sexist moment in this series happened the first time Miss Grubbly-Plank filled in for Hagrid in Book 4. She brings in unicorns for the lesson, but guess what? Unicorns prefer a female touch. So only the girls were allowed to pet them. Good job, teacher, bringing in a creature that only half the class can really enjoy.
What are the rest of us supposed to do?
Now, like I said before, I get that this is all fictional work, and I don't claim that this is a pressing men's issue. But here's the kicker, and the thing I really take issue with. If you were to type in sexism in Harry Potter, do you think you'll see any mention of the school that doesn't trust boys, or the unicorns that only let girls touch them? Nope, of course you won't. Instead, you're going to see articles interpreting things as being sexist to girls. I mean, if you are going to talk about sexism in this book series, at least talk about the moments that are actually sexist. There's really only those two moments, and they're both sexist against boys. But instead of hearing about those moments, here's what you'd find in an article about sexism in Harry Potter. Harry's fictional realm of magic and wizardry perfectly mirrors the conventional assumption that men do and should run the world. Wow, how do you figure that one out? I can't wait to hear you explain this one. From the beginning of the first Potter book, it is boys and men, wizards and sorcerers, who catch our attention by dominating the scenes and determining the action. Harry, of course, plays the lead in his epic struggle with the forces of darkness. So basically, just the fact that you have male characters is sexist. Our main character for this particular story is male, so that must be sexist. Simply being male is sexist, according to the writer of this article. The evil wizard Voldemort and his male supporters, Harry is supported by the dignified wizard Dumbledore and a colorful cast of male characters. Girls, when they are not downright silly or unlikable, are helpers, enablers, and instruments. No girl is brilliantly heroic the way Harry is. No woman is experienced and wise like Professor Dumbledore. In fact, the range of female personalities is so limited that neither women nor girls play on the side of evil. On top of being completely wrong, she's acting as if all male characters are portrayed in a positive way, but all female characters are portrayed in a negative way. As if we never had any silly or unlikable male characters. And there have been women and girls who play on the side of evil just as there were male characters. Bellatrix Lestrange comes to mind. Notice how the writer here isn't pointing out any actual sexism anywhere in her article? She is just making up her own interpretations, taking the good aspects of the male characters and the not so good aspects of the female characters and ignoring everything else. Whereas when I point out sexism, I am talking about actual discrimination against one sex. I'm talking about where the books themselves say flat out that girls can do something, but boys can't. But you interject, what about Harry's good friend Hermione? Indeed, she is the female lead and the smartest student at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. She works hard to be accepted by Harry and his sidekick Ron, who treat her like a tag-along until Volume 3. The trio reminds me of Dennis the Menace, Joey and Margaret, or Calvin and Hobbes and Susie. Like her cartoon counterparts, Hermione is a smart goody-goody who annoys the boys by constantly reminding them of the school rules. Or you can interpret her behavior as being that of a responsible person who actually knows what's best for Harry and Ron because they themselves don't know any better. Yeah, this is her character. So what? Again, how is this sexist? Early on, she is described as a bossy know-it-all, hissing at the boys like an angry goose. Halfway through the first book, when Harry rescues her with Ron's assistance, the hierarchy of power is established. We learn that Hermione's bookish knowledge only goes so far. You've got to be kidding me. Do you want her to be perfect with everything? Yes, book smarts really do only take you so far. God forbid Hermione has some flaws. God forbid Hermione can be better than Ron and Harry at some things, but Harry and Ron be better than Hermione at other things. And God forbid she is not 100% likable 100% of the time. So sorry. Though I was impressed by Hermione's brain power, I felt sorry for her. She struggled so hard to get Harry and Ron's approval and respect, in spite of the boys' constant teasing and rejection. She's making it sound as if Ron and Harry are bullies, and they reject her all the time for no reason. No, on a few occasions they got mad at Hermione, so what? Most of the times they do get along, so what the hell is she even complaining about? And she has no girlfriends. Indeed, there don't seem to be any other girls at school worth her or our attention. What? Do you actually read these books in their entirety, or what? Again and again, her emotions interfere with her intelligence, so that she loses her head when it comes to applying her knowledge. Although she casts successful spells for the boys, Hermione messes up her own, and as a result, while they go adventuring, she hides in the bathroom with cat fur on her face. Actually, that wasn't a spell, it was Polyjuice Potion. Hers got messed up because she thought she was putting Millicent Bulstrode's hair in it, but it ended up being her cat. And how is that sexism? I guess we can't have Hermione make a mistake once in a while. I find myself wanting Hermione to shine, but her bookish knowledge and her sincere efforts can't hold a candle to Harry's flamboyant, rule-defying bravery. Well, the book series is called Harry Potter, not Hermione Granger. God forbid the main character is the one who is mainly in the spotlight. He is, after all, the main fucking character. Even though Hermione eventually wins the boys' begrudging respect and friendship, her thirst for knowledge remains a constant source of irritation for them. And who can blame them? With her nose stuck in books, she's no fun. Okay, you've got to be kidding me. God forbid there is something about Hermione that Ron and Harry don't like. Does she have to be likable in every single aspect? Have you known friends that always got along all the time? Or have even the best of friends had their differences from time to time? You know, there are some things that Hermione doesn't like about Ron either, the way they argue and such. So what of it? It would be a pretty boring story if they always got along. Thankfully, she is not hung up on her looks or the shape of her body. What's that supposed to mean? But her relentless studying has all the characteristics of a disorder. It makes her ill-humored, renders her oblivious to her surroundings, and threatens her health, especially in the third volume. Well, she's a bookworm. That's Hermione's character. So what's wrong with that? In any event, there have been times that Hermione has felt rebellious, had some fun, and broke some school rules along with Harry and Ron. so she isn't a total tight ass like she's making her out to be. The only female authority figure is beady-eyed, thin-lipped Minerva McGonagall, professor of transfiguration and deputy headmistress of Hogwarts, stern instead of charismatic. She is described as eyeing her students like a wrathful eagle. McGonagall is Dumbledore's right hand, and she defers to him in every respect. Well, he is the current headmaster. Everyone defers to him. Whereas he has the wisdom to see beyond rules and the power to disregard them, McGonagall is bound by them and enforces them strictly. Although she makes a great effort to keep her feelings under control, in a situation of crisis, she loses herself in emotions because she lacks Dumbledore's vision of the bigger picture. When Harry returns from the Chamber of Secrets, she clutches her chest, gasps, and speaks weakly while the all-knowing Dumbledore beams. Once again, she isn't pointing out any sexism. She is focusing on what she believes are negative aspects of certain female characters and positive aspects of certain male characters, while ignoring everything else. Dumbledore and McGonagall are friends. They respect each other. But apparently that's not enough because we have a male as the head of Hogwarts, and that's somehow sexist. But I remain perplexed that a woman, the mother of a daughter no less, would, at the turn of the 20th century, write a book so full of stereotypes. Is it more difficult to imagine a headmistress sparkling with wit, intelligence, and passion than to conjure up a unicorn shedding silver blood? More far-fetched to create a brilliant, bold, and lovable heroine than a Marauders map? I wonder what would happen if the sexes were switched. Because if she thinks it's sexist to girls the way it is now, then surely it must be sexist to boys if the sexes were switched. Yet, that seems to be what she wants. So it's sexist that the headmaster is male, but if it was a headmistress, it's fine? Look, simply being male is not sexist, and she neglects the fact that there have been and will be headmistresses of Hogwarts. So there likely have been and will be times where you have a male teacher deferring to a female headmistress, which according to her wouldn't be sexist, even though flipping the sexes would be. You see, it's people like this who motivate me to make videos like this one. Not only do they neglect to mention the actual sexism against boys, but they have the nerve to say that it's sexist against girls when it isn't at all. When they say something is sexist, it's interpretive. They interpret any flaws in female characters as sexist, even though all characters, male or female, have their flaws. They interpret the mere fact that the main character is male as being sexist, or, oh my god, the headmaster is male in this story. This just means that they're saying men should control everything. Never mind the fact that Hogwarts had headmistresses before and will have them again in the future. I mean, it really is an insult to not only ignore the actual sexism against boys in this story, but to also say that it is only sexist to girls simply because you decided to focus on the negative aspects of a few female characters and the positive aspects of a few male characters and just ignore everything else. And I know I'm still going to get people who miss my point. They'll either read the title of this video or watch maybe the first minute or two and comment that I'm the one making the big deal out of nothing. Well, just to see if you watched the video, I'm going to give you a password. When you make a comment, type in this password so I know that you at least watched my video. The password is mudblood. Anyway, this is what I'm talking about. Whether it's books, television, movies, or real life, the bottom line is that whatever you're talking about, it is more likely that people will see sexism against females when it isn't even there than they are to see sexism against males when it's clear-cut. Many feminists comment on my video saying, you know, there's sexism against women too, you know, and you don't talk about that. That's because my videos are usually in response to someone who only talked about sexism against women in the first place, and I'm the one giving the other side of the story for once.